We're back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, my friend.
Awesome. We had a little bit of technical issues during the countdown. Cole and myself both did, but we have overcome it. We're back. If you're not familiar with us, Alex and Cole with you. The Going Broadway Podcast has returned. Cole, what's happening?
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to have to get used to saying that. And welcome to the Going Broadway Podcast. It is the greatest wrestling podcast ever. And the good news is you don't have to deal with any EVPs or presidents that don't know how to run corporations here. It is just Alex and Cole, baby. All right.
Indeed.
We got a great show in store for you, but what would it be if we don't look through the chat here real quick and see who we got on with us this evening? Give some shout-outs here, give some hellos. So I'm going to scroll up, make sure I don't miss anyone. Good evening to Brian Griffin, David Tilley, the Large Fry.
Well, time out. I have an idea. I scrolled to the very top. Billy Ray Milburn was the very first one that said hello. And you know what? We can throw your comments on the screen now.
Let's do it.
How about that?
Let's say good evening to Jesse, to Billy, to Jeremy, Thomas Russell, Chris, Brian Griffin, I said, Jay Stoney, Jason Fee, whoever, Hi G.
HG3. I know HG3.
Stacy, Bruce Jackson, all right. Jeff, I think I've got everybody. So, Steven, good evening. Chris.
I'll tell you what, having an evening show already right away, it's like our viewership is...
It's on the up.
It's on the up, indeed.
It's on the up.
However, I'd be remiss if we didn't start off the only way that is appropriate.
There it is.
There it is. So here's what we're going to do. Format-wise, we're going to try to keep things the same. I need to get used to looking at the camera on my right. On my right. I'll do my best with that and not just look at my computer screen. If you're not familiar with us, in the past we had I'll call them tiles on the right side of the screen. If you're familiar with Pardon the Interruption, they kind of had an outline on the screen so that you could see where you're at in the show. We don't have exactly that, but we've got something close to it. So for each segment, we're just going to show it at the bottom of the screen, and that's where we're at in the show. We might leave it up the whole time. We might not. In this case, if you're familiar with us, you know what off the top means. You know that we just use this time to talk about anything and everything. Also, by the way, periodically you're going to see our social media platforms scrolling across the bottom of your screen. So please check out those links. Give us a like, follow, subscribe, share. By the way, big shout out to Cole. We're back on Instagram. And I'll tell you what, you know what? A lot of you are already familiar with our Facebook page. Throw our Instagram link up. So if you're on Instagram, we're back on Instagram. So give us a follow if you're so inclined. So the world go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Instagram's up, so go follow it. Our goal is to utilize it often, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later on in the show. But just off jump, we are going to save anything AEW, Media Scrum, CM Punk, EVP, Scott Colton related stuff for later in the show.
That is going to be your main event of the evening, if you will.
So, anyways, we will jump into other things off the top here. So I'll let you kick us off.
One thing I was going to say is wrestling has changed dramatically just in the time that we've been away. So literally our last show was over a month ago, and 2-3 days later, I mean, it was merely days later, Vince McMahon retires. Now, we're not going to spend a ton of time on that, but that just goes to show you we've not been off the air for that long. I mean, it's literally been 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. And the landscape of wrestling has just shifted so dramatically, not just with that, but with, Triple H taking over, Shawn Michaels taking an executive position as well. And on the flip side, the company you just mentioned, AEW, going in the wrong direction on so many levels. And not just with the backstage stuff, but I find it interesting that not long after Tony Khan says, yeah, our guys are coming back from injury, our roster is going to be the strongest it's ever been, injuries are mounting up again. CM Punk's injured again. Did you see that Christian's injured again?
6 to 8 months.
6 to 9 months.
Oh, wow.
So, anyway, your thoughts?
Isn't it funny how the tables have turned? Because let's take this back. AEW's been around, 3 years now,
yep.
Give or take. They were the cool place to work. They were the ones that had the great boss. They were the ones that had great EVPs. They were the ones that were going to change wrestling and were having the better wrestling matches and the better show and all this stuff. And then it is crazy. I mean, we've always said this, right? Like the entire wrestling world. If Vince McMahon would just leave, WWE would be so much better. But isn't it crazy how true it is? And not in a disrespectful way, because honestly, we don't get WWE without Vince McMahon. So thank God that he was around, that he did what he did.
Oh, 100% agreed.
Much respect goes to that man. In the wrestling side of things, I think it's clear I don't have much respect for him on all the allegations and things.
Yeah, we won't go there.
That have been made. But from a wrestling standpoint, we don't have what we have without him today. But with Triple H in charge, the WWE product has been 10 times better. From just a wrestling standpoint, you're getting actual wrestling matches on air on a weekly basis. The United States and Intercontinental titles feel special again. The tag team divisions feel special again. The women's division feels special. They're even making the women's tag titles feel special.
Keep going.
They've the pay-per-view, Clash of the Castle, which under Vince McMahon, I just wanted to point this out. Clash of the Castle, we'll review it here in a few. Under Vince McMahon, that would have been a blow-off pay-per-view.
It would have been awful.
It would have been a blow-off. It would have been like a Saudi show. There would have been no real surprises, no good matches, maybe one. I thought, and like I said, we'll go more into this, I thought Clash of the Castle was probably one of their most complete pay-per-views that they've had so far this year. I mean, just was really, really good, and like I said, we'll break that down, but how the tables have turned now that Triple H is in charge, we're starting to see all these different wrestlers that were released that probably wouldn't have been released, that Triple H had more of a say, coming back, guys that shouldn't have been let go of in the first place. And honestly, what's crazy is if some of these guys wouldn't have jumped to AEW and signed 10-year deals with AEW right now, they all probably would want to jump ship back to WWE as well. So I think it's crazy how the tables have turned, and now AEW is kind of like I don't know if this is the right place for me kind of conversation happening for some of those people and whatnot. And so cool to see guys like Johnny Gargano back, Braun Strowman, Karrion Kross, even Hit Row, like the amount of pizzazz and energy they've added to the tag division, and then them starting to use other people correctly again. So them starting to use Gunther and bringing back Imperium and just all the different things they're doing. But I think my biggest thing has been the storytelling has gotten better, and the actual in-ring product in WWE has gotten better, and that's something to take note moving forward. Even in NXT, it's so much better watching now.
I want to be doing this promo style, I guess. I need to fix my boom mic at some point. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but no, I mean, 100% agreed. And I mean, I'm just going through some of the comments as you were talking. DJ Jesse Lee makes a good point. It's on the AW side, you can't do anything about injuries. I get that. At least on, with in the situation with Christian, it makes sense in the way that I'll phrase it like this. AEW tends to have injuries with guys that maybe aren't, I don't want to say working the safest, but maybe working the wisest. I mean, you don't need high spots all the time. And I'll just leave it at that. I mean, I think that comment kind of speaks for itself.
I got to watch what I say when it comes to the AEW stuff because I got a lot to get off my chest later in the show. And so I'm really, really saving that for you guys.
But no, I agree with Triple H back and him running the show. The product has been, so I posted this on one of our chat threads that it's funny how Monday Night Raw has gone from being, I don't want to say the least desired wrestling show, but if you combined Raw, I'll even throw NXT into it, Dynamite, Rampage, and SmackDown, you could argue that Raw was the least interesting of the five. I said you could argue, not necessarily say it is. I mean, because I know a lot of people would think, well, Rampage is probably the least interesting, and I would agree with that personally. But there'd be some that could, argue again that Raw was the least interesting. To now, arguably, can't miss. I mean, it's far surpasses anything AEW is doing right now, in my opinion. And then with SmackDown, this is something else we can transition to. Pat McAfee is taking a hiatus. He took a job with ESPN. He's going to do College Game Day for the next 4 months. And he wanted to do both gigs. Apparently it wasn't in the cards. So he's going to step back from the commentary booth for a few months. And I don't know. Pat McAfee was so instrumental to SmackDown that I don't know. It's not going to be the same. This is something else I posted, but anytime you have Michael Cole on commentary with really anyone else, maybe with the exception of JBL, it's not fun to watch. I mean, that's just, again, one person's opinion. And again, if you're not familiar with our podcast, we never demean or degrade anyone for anyone that differs in their opinions. That's all we're doing. We're just sharing opinions. If you guys differ, that's awesome. Your opinions are just as valid as ours. But that being said, I don't think Michael calling commentary with anyone else, maybe besides JBL, with or without Vince McMahon in his ear, is going to be nearly as entertaining without Pat McAfee.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Pat McAfee is a one of a kind and brings a lot of entertainment and whatnot to the show. I think it speaks volumes of WWE as a whole, especially guys like Triple H and them, who see the value of him so much that they're willing to let him take this hiatus and come back, when the time's right, to jump right back in where he left off. I think it speaks a lot about what he brings to the table and how valuable he is. And it's also good for them because his name's going to be all over College Game Day. And people are going to see that. They're going to resonate with him. They're going to see what he brings to the table. It's going to bring more eyes to the WWE product because I'm sure just how I've seen him be when he's on his own podcast and other things, he doesn't shy away from the product. So I know he'll talk about it. He'll probably make references to it, which I think is super cool. And I do think there are guys that could, I don't want to say replace, but at least fill the role. For the time being, I'm interested to watch this whether it's this Friday or next Friday. I don't know exactly when Pat McAfee's last commentary will be, if it's already happened. But I'm interested to see what they get. I think even Wade Barrett, having him pull double duty with NXT and fly out to wherever they are for SmackDown would be a cool thing for those 4 months. I think he's entertaining enough. Booker T, if you could get Booker T out there. Just someone.
I'm going to interrupt you real quick. Keep talking. I'm going to switch microphones because I don't think I can hold this for an hour and a half. These things are heavy. I'll be right back.
You're good. I also think that R-Truth since they're not using R-Truth right now in a wrestling ring, I think R-Truth would be a really good pick. A lot of personality, brings the microphone to life, and so I'd like to see R-Truth, Booker T, Jerry the King Lawler could do it, and it would be all right. I'm trying to think of some other names. I mean, I could see them doing Corey Graves, just because he already does it. Guys, in the chat, throw some names out of people that you think. We're only talking about 4 months, so it's not a huge amount of time. We're just looking for somebody to fill the gap for 4 months. So drop some names down in the chat of people that are in WWE that really aren't doing anything. I also thought Drew Gulak can be entertaining. He's not doing anything. He could be someone that kind of fits that role, if you will. If there's anybody that's even injured right now that could at least do some things. I mean, Morrow would be cool, but he's not signed with them. I doubt they get him to come back. Guest announcers every week, that could be good. I like the idea of Bailey, especially if it was Bailey and Michael Cole. That could be absolutely hilarious. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, so I'm kind of thinking maybe Bailey out there. They like to kind of keep the Miz protected. You could throw the Miz out there. I don't think Asuka would be a good pick. Beth Phoenix could be good. I like the idea of Beth Phoenix. Yeah, I mean, and I kind of like the idea of a guest announcer every week. Like I said, it's only 4 months. You have a lot of personalities on your roster to where you could kind of space them out and get different kind of people, up there, on there. Paul Heyman could actually be an option too, with the fact that, Roman Reigns takes off so many weeks. I don't think he's scheduled to fight a pay-per-view for the next 2 months. So Paul Heyman's kind of got some freed up time. Alex, are you back with us?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. There's no way I was going to hold that thing for an hour and a half. So
throw me some names here, though. I mean, obviously, we're saying
for what? For what? I had to
a replacement for the 4 months of Pat McAfee being gone. Somebody had recommended doing a guest announcer each week.
No, do 3-man panel. You've got Michael Cole, Mauro Ranallo, Nigel McGuinness.
Okay. So I like some of the names that have been thrown out. I like the idea of Bailey, especially if she's not going to be wrestling on a weekly. Bailey and Michael Cole could be funny together. Oh my gosh,
can you imagine that?
I like R-Truth. I really do. I think R-Truth would be hilarious out there. He knows wrestling enough to talk about the moves and about the sequences and things, but he's also comedic relief, which is what I think makes Pat McAfee so great as well. MVP is a good one.
Yeah, I don't know. MVP. I'm not gonna.
I think it's gonna be Corey Graves. I think it'll just be Michael Cole and Corey Graves to hold it down. Kevin Owens, that would be a funny one. Sami Zayn. I don't think he's really wrestling on a weekly, and is just kind of doing appearances. Drew Gulak could be funny.
Say no to MVP.
I think I lost you.
No, I'm still here. You good?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Anyway, so continue. By the way, guys, this is the only week that we're gonna have to deal with being on Wi-Fi. We're gonna have a direct hardwire internet connection starting next week. So we got the charter guy coming to my house. So hopefully we won't have to worry about any weird connection issues. So
yeah, I think there's some great names that have been thrown out though, and I am definitely interested. That's a good one, Thomas. I didn't even think. Let me put your comment up here because I like this.
Oh,
because he's hurt. It would get him back on TV a lot quicker. Another name, now that I'm thinking about injuries, is Rick Boogs. Either or, Big E or Rick Boogs. I kind of like the idea of those two, but Big E, I think that's a great idea because of the personality and what he brings to the table. So,
yeah. You there?
I can hear you. Sometimes you're freezing on me.
Yeah, it just shows two circles on our screens for whatever reason. Guys, if you're watching us, I apologize, but this is going to be the only week we have to deal with this. But no, those are interesting names. Big E for one. Boogs might be interesting. My thing with Boogs is that I kind of feel like he might be just kind of a, I don't know, one trick pony. I mean, because I know he does the whole, my name is Rick Boogs and I came to rock shtick, but going past that, I don't know. We'll see. We're already about 20 minutes in. You want to head to some of the recaps?
Let's get into it.
All right. So, and bear with us, guys. We're still navigating StreamYard and learning how to do things and all. So, Clash at the Castle. Now, if you've watched this before, you know that we will sometimes go through the entire pay-per-view and recap everything. We're going to try to steer clear of doing the entire thing, or at least being too long-winded when it comes to the matches. Especially tonight, since we have a lot to cover. But I'm also trying to switch our little ticker thing. There we go. Cole and I are going to kind of tag team this little ticker thing down at the bottom because we can only throw up one social media platform at a time. So we'll just try to keep that updated and such. But nonetheless, disclaimer: I have not watched all of this pay-per-view, so I can only give limited thoughts on it. So, pre-show, Madcap Moss and Street Profits defeated Theory. I'm sorry, he's now known as Austin Theory. Got his first name back. And Alpha Academy. This match only went 6.5 minutes. Cole, give me your thoughts if you watched it.
It's pre-show.
6.5 minutes for a 6-man tag?
I kind of expected it just to be a little bit of a filler, get more names on the card, because the actual card itself was only like, what, five or six matches?
6 matches, yeah.
So not very many matches for a pay-per-view. I think the pay-per-view was only like 3 hours total.
But which goes to show less can be more.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I like the booking. I like the names that they used. I think that those are all kind of bigger names that they're trying to get out there with Madcap and Theory. They're trying to push those guys. And then it was Street Profits. And who was the other team? I forget the other team.
Austin Theory and Alpha Academy?
Alpha Academy, yeah. So I think it's good booking for a pre-show. That would be where I would say, yeah, that match actually makes sense on a pre-show.
Opening match, Damage Control. Which, I don't know. I'm not in love with the name. I don't hate it, but it's whatever. Got the win over Bianca, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka. This match went almost 19 minutes. Didn't see it. Your thoughts? I do know that Bayley got the win over Bianca, so it kind of sets up probably a title program. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought this was a great kickoff match. Like, I guess I got to start by saying I think that this card was done perfectly. I don't think that there's really – this is why if you're in our chat groups that we have, I think I rated this at like an A or an A minus. I was just very impressed with a pay-per-view that would normally be like a throwaway pay-per-view a premium live event.
No, just call it a pay-per-view. I'm hoping that Triple H will bring back some of these old Like, for example,
terminologies.
Yeah, well, whatever the fad was the other day on Twitter, where people or businesses or companies or whatever were just tweeting these one-word tweets or whatever. A tweet came from WWE that said wrestling, which kind of spoke volumes because that's a term that they stayed away from for years and years and years. I'm hoping they just call it a pay-per-view again. Granted, pay-per-view is not what it once was in terms of format, but still, I digress. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just thought it was a great match. It's perfect booking because six woman tags, so you don't have to worry about titles being on the line or anything like that. So great way to do long-term booking with Damage Control and with Bianca Belair and Asuka, Alexa Bliss. So there's a lot of moving parts in that story, but I love that Damage Control got the win, that Bayley got the pin over Bianca, because now we're setting up for a good long-term storytelling thing. I don't think we're going to see that title match at the next pay-per-view.
Probably not the next one, no.
I think this is something that's setting up for 2 months out, which I think is just so smart. I think it's a good fit. So
yeah, I'm going to put this comment up. David Tilley and anybody else that is on Twitch, there will be ads that you'll have to deal with. But one way you can get past those ads is becoming a subscriber. It is a paid, what would you call it, Cole? I mean, I don't want to call it a service, but it's
a paid subscription.
Yeah.
You're paying to follow the show and to not have any ads while watching the show.
Yeah. But you're also supporting the podcast if you become a subscriber. And so if you're on Twitch and you don't want to view any ads, same thing for HT3. Consider becoming a subscriber and you won't have to deal with that.
And Twitch is like one of our main platforms because we use that for watch parties and different things like that. So it's going to be a good investment for you. And I think it's only like $3.99 a month or something like that. So nothing crazy. So if you plan on watching our show on a weekly, want to be a part of the watch parties and all that, Twitch is the best way to do that. And it's an easy way to support us financially, which we'll talk more about that later on in the show. And
Twitch will be our exclusive platform when we do watch parties. Just a heads up on that. So next match, potential match of the year contender. Gunther, however you want to pronounce it. I got the win over Sheamus. This match went almost 20 minutes. I honestly thought it could even gone longer than it did. But wow. I mean, just good stuff. And not only that, they brought Imperium back. So it wasn't as good as Gunther / Walter against Ilya Dragunov, but it was close. Your thoughts?
This was brutal. This is the kind of stuff that I think one perfect place to do that kind of match. To do it there in Cardiff. But this is the kind of stuff that people have been missing from WWE on the main roster. So we've seen some of those matches and stuff like that in the days of old of NXT and NXT UK. But we don't usually get to see those kind of like rough, just banger of a match on the main cards typically. And so this was refreshing. It was awesome, and it just shows you how deep the roster really is because Sheamus hasn't been really outside of the Intercontinental title picture, hasn't been in the main title picture realistically in a long time. And so to have him go after the Intercontinental title, it's the only title he's never won, which would make him a Grand Slam champion. Just, again, good storytelling. I really enjoyed the match itself. Again, I could agree that it's probably going to be in that match of the year potential realm. So really like that. And this may not be the end. This might just be the beginning.
I was going to say, I hope they have another match.
You're talking Imperium versus Brawling Brutes. So I think Extreme Rules is coming up next as the next pay-per-view. So we could see an Extreme Rules match between the Brawling Brutes and Imperium. I think that could be brutal if they allow it to be everything that it could be. We're talking Pete Dunne, Ridge Holland is a big dude. Sheamus is tough as nails. These are a lot of tough guys in this match, and we've seen what Imperium can do on NXT when given the green light. So,
yeah, Thomas, wholeheartedly agree. I mean, it was, I think, might have been Pat McAfee that made the comment, or maybe it was Corey Graves. I don't remember. No, it had to have been Pat McAfee because it's a SmackDown match. So, made a comment about his chest looking like hamburger meat.
Oh, it was fried. I mean, it was
nasty.
but good match overall.
Next match, didn't see it. Liv Morgan retains the Women's Championship over Shayna Baszler, 11 minutes. Any thoughts?
This is the match that kept my grade from being an A+. And not that it was bad.
That's how you really feel.
Not that it was bad. I just think they got the booking wrong on it.
Really?
I think that Shayna should have went over. I don't know what their plan is long term for Liv Morgan, and I'm sure that there's sorry, my email decides it wants to pop up while I'm talking.
Man, y'all are harsh.
I'm not sure what their plan is for Liv Morgan and for the storyline going forward. I don't know what's going on with Ronda Rousey and what they got planned there, but overall, I thought this is the perfect time to give Shayna the run that she deserved. Liv got her moment in the sun. I think it's been a dry babyface run for her with the title. It's not a diss at her. I think it was bad booking that you can't really recover from. Even though Triple H and them are in charge now, everything that happened was before or kind of during that transition where you kind of had to keep things as is. And so you can still book her strong, book her back to the title at some point if you believe in her and all that. But I think if you're really wanting the women's division to be elevated, if you're really wanting those matches to be better, Shayna Baszler brings a lot to the table. And I think there's a better overall story to be told between Shayna and Ronda. Again, there's other women that are going to start to make their return at some point, I'm sure, with Charlotte and Becky, and you have Asuka back. Lacey Evans is in there. So there's a lot of matches that could happen and a lot of storylines that could happen that I don't think are as interesting with Liv Morgan as champion as there is with Shayna as champion and getting her back to that aggressive, dominant persona. So having Liv beat Ronda twice, whether it was clean or not, or however you want to call it, and then having her beat Shayna too, it's far-fetched, I think, for me.
Fair enough. Mark Dodd, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Edge and Ray gets the win over Judgment Day. 12.5 minutes. I'm actually surprised. Now, from a booking standpoint, it makes sense. I'm surprised on paper that they gave the win to Edge and Ray. Now, kudos to them. They did the Dominic heel turn. Did that really well. I still think they could have done that and given the win to Judgment Day, but the way they did it was still good because it was surprising. You didn't really expect it until like maybe a second or two before it happened.
Yeah, I thought the swerve is what made it so special because it wasn't just that Ray and Edge got the win. It's that Dominic helped them get the win.
Yeah.
You know, I think your point would make a little bit more sense to me if Dominic was just sitting on the sidelines and they just beat Judgment Day fair and square. But yeah. Ray actually got involved and helped them get the win. And then first off, Edge is such a good seller. The kick to the gonads and Edge's face of just shock and disbelief really sold it for me.
To the what? One more time.
To the gonads.
Okay, thank you.
So this is the storytelling I love as well. That Dominic is growing his hair out like Eddie Guerrero, and has that look to him, and the comparisons of him and Rhea to Edge in China, and just all this stuff. But I thought, as dry as Dominic Mysterio has been, it has been the most character I have seen this kid have since he's been on the roster. The shunning is
agreed.
The shunning his dad, the I thought we were family. Where did Edge come from? Again, Edge is such a good storyteller. So the promo he cut on Raw, even afterwards, I watched you grow up, and the reality to the story, even though it's all, fake and stuff, or kayfabe, if you will, as far as that story goes. But just absolutely loved the match. Was okay. What elevated the match for me was the turn, because I just could not see them turning him against his father, but it's been so good.
Yeah. Rollins defeats Riddle, about 17 and a half minutes. I'm actually one of the few people that predicted Rollins getting the win here. And I'm on the flip side, I'm actually surprised so many people predicted Riddle to win. I get why, but I thought it was going to be, going into it, I thought it was going to be more of an even 50-50 split, but it seemed like a lot of people were giving the edge to Matt Riddle, and I just didn't agree. So as far as the match itself, I thought it was okay. I think maybe I had too much expectation that it would be better than it was. It wasn't bad. But I mean, I think you could argue that it might have been the third best match of the night.
Oh, for sure. And I think this is round one.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we got the match that we did and the outcome that we did. One, you can't keep having Seth Rollins lose every pay-per-view. I mean, the guy has stayed relevant on TV, taking a lot. What was the statistic?
Well, you gave me the statistic. It was over a year of not having a pay-per-view win, a singles pay-per-view win.
So we're talking about a guy who's been on probably every pay-per-view for the year or even more, and has taken a loss on every pay-per-view, and has been relevant and in one of the top stories, even beyond the Triple H reign. So we're talking about bad storytelling. Has been in one of the top stories, putting over everybody. If you want to get Riddle over, you can't have him beat Rollins. First match, all this stuff. You got to make this story really build up to give him that rub at the end. And so I could see them actually spacing this out to have round 3, I guess, which would be at Crown Jewel, which is 2 months away, I think. So, I thought the match was overall it was good. But I'm actually kind of glad Rollins got the win. I was kind of hoping Riddle would take the loss, because I think it needs to be prolonged storyline.
Oh yeah, more is definitely coming, 100%. And then Roman defeats Drew to retain the championship. Went over 30 minutes. It was well executed from the standpoint that there were a couple of occasions where at least I legitimately thought that, wow, they might actually put the belt on Drew. And I thought the match was good. I don't know if I'd call it great, but I mean, it was definitely from a ring psychology standpoint, I thought it was very good. So, your thoughts?
Really enjoyed the match. Obviously, being an NXT 2.0 guy, loved the Solo Sequoia call up, especially with no Usos being at ringside, no Paul Heyman. You thought all the gimmicks, all the stops were out of the way. You thought this was going to be a straight up Roman Drew match. Even the SmackDown beforehand, where Drew kind of laid everybody out, like, you thought this was just going to be straight up Roman and Drew, 30 minutes, hard hitting, great storytelling in the ring. Crowd was. Let's just talk about the crowd for a second. The crowd was strong all night long.
Oh my gosh! Someone tweeted. I forgot who it was. Basically, they were just like, yeah, they just need to do a live event in the UK, like, every 2 months or something like that.
So I'm going to address this comment as well. But overall, I thought the match was great. The booking, I think they got it right. I don't think this Roman reign is even close to being over. I think that there's a lot more they can do, especially now that they've spiced up the story even more with adding Solo Sequoia to the mix. And I'm excited to see what they do there. This was the other reason why I marked my grade. I think it was an A or an A-. I can't remember in our chat groups. But why I couldn't give it an A+, because I felt like that singing moment, the singing after the match, we could have done without, is what Thomas was saying here. I felt like that was something that was great for the fans that were in attendance. I don't think it was something that needed to be broadcasted live. Like, there are special moments that I think some fans, that the live fans should get, which is one thing I actually will give props to AEW for, to the live events that we've been to. They usually have stuff kind of in the middle of commercial breaks or before or after the show that are kind of crowd engaging, and it's just something a little more special for the fans that are in attendance. And so I felt like that moment with Tyson Fury and him, all of that could have been done off camera. Could have been done after the broadcast was over, and they could have just done that. So, yeah,
Do you think that somebody in the truck simply forgot to cut the feed, or do you think it was done on purpose? Because it was so cheesy, it's hard for me to believe that they meant to put that on, or they meant to keep that on the feed.
I kind of think it was more of akin to like The Rock and Stone Cold when they sang, the different songs back and forth to the crowd. They knew Cardiff would sing along. Again, the crowd was hot all night long. So they knew the crowd would be into it. I think it was meant to be for the crowd. And I think the overall goal was to show the people at home, and for ratings purposes, to show how hot the crowd was that night. Well, this person here, D Fresh Legend, is saying WWE admitted that the singing part was not meant to be aired.
Okay.
I've not seen that report, but if that's the truth, then that makes sense. But the fact that that was the only other reason that it felt like the pay-per-view was just a little bit less, because I thought the Solo Sequoia walk out with Roman and him saying, "Come on," and all that stuff. Like, I thought that was just such a great way to end the show, that I thought Drew and Tyson Fury being out there and all that stuff was kind of like, oh, we're like, this is like what happens when the show's over. Like,
agreed.
So that was my only quarrel with it. Didn't really make or break the card for me, but overall, if you're going to grade it, could have done without.
Okay. So yeah, that was my next question. Real quick, give it an overall grade.
I think I'm going to sit at an A-, just from the standpoint of the Liv Morgan decision. I still think they got it wrong on that one, and the overall ending. It was just, it really took a pay-per-view that was ending here to kind of like ending here. So I'm gonna give it an A-, which is still really great for a WWE Premium Live pay-per-view event. And
given that there's only 6 matches on the main card,
yeah,
A- is going to be my grade as well. So, so we will transition to, we'll talk about Worlds Collide briefly, but I don't want to go through every single match on the card. Really, any of them that we think might have storyline implications moving forward. So, for example, I don't know that the Carmelo Hayes, while this was a great match, I don't think the Carmelo Hayes and Ricochet match is going to have. Do you think?
Well, they had him fight Trick Williams on NXT this past week.
Well, I'll tell you what. I will let you take the wheel, so to speak, with talking about Worlds Collide. A, because I didn't really get a chance to watch much of this pay-per-view. And 2, I didn't watch NXT at all this past week. So you tell all of us how you think any of these matches and the results might tie into storylines moving forward.
Do you have the card in front of you?
I do. So, yeah, the first match was Carmelo defeating Ricochet about 16 minutes.
I like this match just from the standpoint of the athleticism that was in the match. Those two, there was a spot where they both kind of came off the ropes from the left and the right and hit each other with cutters. And I just thought that the timing on that has to be perfect. I mean, you can't miss that. So, loved that match. And I'm interested to see what they do there because Ricochet is like, he's not back on NXT. He's still a SmackDown superstar. But they had him on for that show. I thought it was going to be a one-off just like you were thinking. But then they had him fight Trick Williams, and they were kind of implying that there would be a round 2 to this Carmelo Hayes Ricochet match. So I don't know where they're headed with it, but him being on NXT 2.0 should say something. Him fighting Trick Williams this past Tuesday. Go ahead and give me the next one.
It's the Fatal 4-Way for the match to unify the NXT and NXT UK Tag Championships. Pretty Deadly gets the win over the Creed brothers, Jensen and Briggs, and Gallus.
I thought this match could have been done a lot different. This is probably my least favorite match of the night. Not that it was bad. It just felt maybe chaotic is the word. Like it just kind of felt a little too much all over the place for me. For me to be like, wow, that was so good. The only thing that I think saved this match was them breaking up Diamond Mine. With the I think he goes by Damian Kemp or something like that. Him attacking Roddy in the parking lot because initially I thought that him and Roddy were going to turn on the Creed brothers together. So the fact that that's not happening and he turned on Diamond Mine as a whole, I thought that was interesting. And I'm interested to see what they're doing with the Creed brothers now because they're kind of getting the feeling they're going to have them like tie a bow on this storyline with Pretty Deadly next week with the title rematch and maybe kind of see this Damian Kemp storyline out for another maybe month or so. But I could see them and Roddy getting the call up. Maybe not together. I don't know if Diamond Mine as a whole is going to get called up. But I could see the three of them all making their main roster debuts here at some point.
The next match was the triple threat to unify the NXT Women's, NXT UK Women's Championships. Mandy Rose gets the win over Satomura and Blair Davenport.
Put some respect on Mandy Rose's name. All right. Mandy Rose has, the whole story on her is that I don't think people have given her the credit she deserves for being women's champion on NXT. I think she's really redeveloped herself. Her in-ring ability has gotten better. She's entertaining. She's good on the mic. I like the Toxic Attraction stable. And someone made this note in one of the Facebook groups I'm in. I just love that they're got stables going in WWE again. Like that there's a handful of stables. Now, not too many. I think, again, AEW has a stable for every single person that's on the roster. But I like that you have Damage Control and Toxic Attraction and Hit Row and the New Day, and you're starting to see Imperium. You're starting to see these groups form, and I'm liking it. So I thought the match was good, other than the fact that I don't think, other than the fact that she took the pinfall, I don't think Blair Davenport had to be in this match. I don't know if they put her in there strictly to take the pin because they wanted to protect Satomura. Or if it was because she was number one contender in UK and it wouldn't have made sense to not let her go after the belt after you already announced her. And if it was kind of a mix of the two. Whatever the reason was, I felt like Blair Davenport brought the match down. I would have much rather, I think, seen just Mandy Rose versus Satomura. Now, if you wanted to have Davenport interfere in the match to help Mandy win because she should have got her title shot, cool. If you wanted to still protect Satomura better than just taking the clean pinfall, that would have made sense to me. But I thought Blair Davenport shouldn't even been in the match, to be honest with you.
Sorry, my mic was muted. I said we got some fighting words from our buddy Ryan here.
It's not that I don't like her and I don't think she's good. I just don't think it made sense for her to be in the match. But yeah. So overall, good match. And I think they got the booking right. I think that the belts need to be on Mandy.
NXT Women's Tag Team Championship, Katana Chance. Is it Katana or Katana?
I think it's Katana.
Anyway, either way. Katana Chance and Caden Carter defeat Dewdrop, that name, and Nikki ASH. About a 10-minute match.
This is the match that they should have just focused on changing people's names back to what they should be. I think Dewdrop needs to go, and we need to get back to Piper Niven. And I think Katana Chance just needs to go back to Casey Catanzaro because that name is atrocious. This match was probably the match that honestly you could have just not had. Not that it was bad. It just you knew that Nikki Cross and Dewdrop weren't going to win.
Oh man.
Do the drop is how we say that. So
okay.
It's the match that I just you knew that it wasn't gonna. There was no unification part of it. There was nothing to do. It felt awkward that they put them in a match like the week before it happened. It was almost just like, how many people that we aren't using in Cardiff can we use on Worlds Collide to kind of get it over on a Sunday where AEW is having a pay-per-view as well? Like, how can we get more names on this? So it just felt out of place is all, but not a bad match.
And then Braun Breaker defeats Tyler Bate to unify the NXT and NXT UK championships. A little over 17 minutes. Your thoughts?
I enjoyed the match. This was one of those matches that I didn't know how I was going to feel about it. But, man, Tyler Bate just is a whole new level of energy. Like, him and Braun, they meshed so well in the ring together. I felt like it was such a good match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think you could argue out of all the pay-per-views that happened this weekend, it could be in your top 5, maybe top 3 matches of the weekend.
All right. So that'll do it for your...
I would give the overall pay-per-view a B+.
I can't give it a grade because I barely watched any of it. So
just throwing that out there.
That'll do it for our NXT / WWE pay-per-view pay-per-view recaps. So we're going to transition a little bit. Give you some Lord Alfred Hayes whenever I can find Lord Alfred Hayes. There he is.
Consideration paid for by the following.
It didn't play the whole thing.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
There it is.
Alfred, come on. It's cutting off for some reason. But no, just to kind of remind you all, you can check out the Going Broadway podcast. Right now, as of this very moment, we're live on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. However, starting in the month of October, it is very, 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 very likely that we will be changing to Monday nights at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Just due to commitments, Monday nights are going to be the nights that really are going to make the most sense for Cole and myself. And who knows, every so often we might do like a Raw watch along or something like that, give our thoughts on it. We're still going to reserve our Sunday nights for special watch parties here and there, which we will eventually figure out how to do. We'll figure out how to integrate all of that with StreamYard and that. Something tells me we're not gonna win that one, but it's okay. But no, our social media platforms have been scrolling across the bottom of your screen throughout the duration. Check us out. Again, we're across all platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Thanks to Cole, we're back on Instagram now as well. And we will eventually have a free giveaway for all of our Instagram followers. We haven't decided on a goal or a threshold as far as when we'll do that giveaway, but we will do it at some point. So if you haven't already, or maybe you did with our old Instagram page, but you need to do it again, give us a follow on Instagram.
Little side note on the Instagram too. You guys will notice throughout the shows going forward that we won't have a wrestler of the week slot anymore on the live show, and that's going to be because it's going to be a big part of our social media going forward. So on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of the platforms, once a week we'll be posting that you can vote for your wrestler of the week, and then I will be posting the winner of those votes to our social medias. So it is a viewer's choice officially of the wrestler of the week. So you'll see those going up in the coming weeks to where you can vote on who the wrestler of the week should be, and then we'll be posting those people accordingly. So another reason to follow the Instagram page.
You guys hold the power for who wrestler.
People power.
I wouldn't go that far. Anyway, I'm going to remind you guys of this as well. We are on Pro Wrestling Tees. I'm going to get our just a second, get this banner out of the way here. You can check us out on Pro Wrestling Tees. Our official merch store is prowrestlingtees.com/Going Broadway Podcast. Check out our shirts. I think all of them, pretty sure all of them are $19.95 or $19.99 plus taxes and shipping. So you can check that out. Just another way, again, that you can support the show, and any and all support we appreciate, whether it's viewership, financially, etc. We do have a Patreon page as well, patreon.com/Going Broadway Podcast. We've got 4 different tiers to choose from. I've talked to Cole about this. I was actually just talking with my wife about this morning as well. We're going to update those tiers so there's more incentive, more, what's the word I'm looking for here?
More reasons to sign up.
More reasons. No, more incentive. There we go. More incentive to become one of our patrons. So we're thinking that, just as an example, like if you're one of our gold or platinum patrons, that you would get to actually come on the podcast with us. Or, if you're this is just an example. I don't know. This isn't etched in stone, but like if you're a gold Patreon member, you would get to come on the podcast with us once a year, as long as you're a member. If you are a platinum member, you get to do maybe 2 or 3 podcasts a year. Just things like that we're going to add to those tiers, which do apply to all current patrons as well. So just something to consider. Again, patreon.com/Going Broadway Podcast if you're interested. 2 more things I want to show you guys. We are proud and honored and humbled to once again partner with Warrior Wrestling. So we are the proud sponsors of their Warrior Wrestling 25 event. Steve with Warrior Wrestling was kind enough to carry over our sponsorship from shows that they canceled during the summer. And to be honest, we don't know why they canceled them over the summer. We just know that they were just personal circumstances that they wanted to resolve, take care of, and now they're back. Their main attraction, so to speak, their main event is the first time match ever, Lucha Brothers against the Briscoe Brothers. And I showed Cole this. I texted him. He's like, "Can we go?" And I told him, "Well, it's a Sunday night. And
it's only 4 hours. It's only 4 hours.
4.5. We'd have a 9-hour round trip." So I told him it's very doubtful.
It may be worth it.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be worth it, but that'd be a haul. It'd be a huge haul. So, but no, Steve with Warrior Wrestling, again, was kind enough to carry over our sponsorship just because we were the sponsor for the advertised Athena and Kylie Ray match, which didn't end up happening. So nonetheless, one other thing, and this is kind of like the announcement that we teased. We have a special guest coming on in 2 weeks. That's Thursday night, September 22nd. Is that the right date?
Yeah.
22nd. The one and only Charlie Haas will be joining us Thursday, September 22nd, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And that's going to be a fun conversation. There's going to be a lot to talk about. And just so you guys know, we got a lot more coming down the pike, so to speak, when it comes to potential guests. And it's going to be good. I'm super excited about it. So
I just want to tag in real quick and
go for it.
Remind you guys that we are back. Yes, that is true. But we are all now crowdfunded. We are no longer backed by the business that we used to work for. Everything ended in a great way with them. Everything's good. Like, it wasn't like it was a bad split. We
Basically,
actually were
just real quick. I mean, just to provide context, like, I had a job change, and that was a vastly big part of it. There are some other circumstances that I won't go into. Nothing bad by any means. It's just not my business to share. But anyway, go ahead.
So, but we were actually already talking about, even before him leaving jobs and stuff, that we would just have so much more freedom. We could just do so much more if we were on our own. And so I really want to encourage you guys to check out the Patreon page, subscribe to us on Twitch, support us, get you some merch from the Pro Wrestling Tees store. Any and all of those things help support the podcast, and none of it goes into our pockets. Okay, so I just want to reiterate that so the people in the back can hear me. None of that goes into our pockets. All of that goes back into making this show what it is, making it better. It'll go towards giveaways. It'll go towards promotions. It'll go towards different things that help get this podcast out there. And there's a lot of exciting things on the horizon, doors that have already started opening as we've kind of taken this leap of faith, if you will. Also, support the belt raffles. I cannot stress that enough.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I totally forgot.
The belt raffles are a great way, one, for you to try to win a belt. They're fun. It's a lot of good stuff. And the belts are high quality. They're not anything cheap or anything that you're going to be disappointed with. So support the things that we do. There's going to be plenty of giveaways. There's going to be plenty of other stuff. And then here soon, you'll be seeing us list some items that will be for sale, all authentic memorabilia, wrestling memorabilia and stuff like that, and whatnot. So some of you have already reached out and said that you started supporting. I thank you guys. Travis, I know you started supporting. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, I actually want to throw Travis's comments up. He is our most recent Patreon supporter. We sincerely appreciate it, whether you're at $5 a month or $50 a month or anywhere and everywhere in between. Like Cole said, if you support us with the belt raffle, support us through our Pro Wrestling Tees store. It doesn't go unnoticed, guys. We sincerely appreciate it. Honestly, we really do. Yeah,
and I want to also just kind of put a bow on it with this by saying the Patreon is one of the best ways you can support us. And as Alex said, we're going to be kind of revamping and adding a tier, I think. And some of the things we've even discussed is when we start bringing on other guests, we might do a private chat room where you actually can be in the chat, and that'll allow you to get your ask your question live instead of us just reading your question. So there's different things that we're kind of trying to work out to see if that's possible. But a lot of cool ways for you to actually get involved with the show that weren't available when we were with the company that used to support us. And so I just want to reiterate that Patreon is not just going to be, oh, well, I gave money, I didn't really get anything in return. It's going to be very crowd interacting, very useful to you to be actually a part of the show. The higher up that you support, obviously, the more that you're going to get with that. So I just wanted to make sure you guys understand, and there's going to probably be a big push on that going forward. We are a crowd-funded show now, so
100%.
For us to be able to do certain things and to give you guys the content and the things that you like, supporting the show helps us do that and helps us to elevate that to higher levels. So just, being real, there's some equipment and some different things that we could utilize, some different things that will help us make this better. So the show is not free to run. Let's just put it that way. So if you love what you see here, if you enjoy the community that we've built as much as we do, and you could at least consider $5 a month, I would encourage you to go check out the Patreon page and check it out.
I'm going to put a bow on top of Cole's bow.
I'm going to bow your bow.
Something like that. I know Lumpy, I'm going to throw his quality up. Throw his comment up. He's talking about the quality of the belts. I mean, we can, as far as belt raffles go, anyone that's participated in one, again, can agree with Lumpy just as far as, the quality. It's not, just cheap, dinged up material. It's really good quality stuff. And so as far as our belt raffles go, when they get posted, they're generally on Monday mornings. They're exclusive to our Facebook page. So check those out. They're generally $15 a spot. They're not posted every Monday. It kind of depends on how quickly they fill. We try to do maybe 2 or 3 a month. So it kind of depends. But I'm going to throw Ryan's comment up as well. As far as our giveaways, you guys that have won it can attest that we don't mess around with our giveaways. So, and we want to keep them the same as well. But in order to do that, that's where, your guys's contributions and your generosity comes in. So, but again, any way you guys support us, whether it's financially or just, checking out the show, joining us live, the viewership, we appreciate it. And we have a lot of fun doing it. So, let's see. I'm just checking through some of the comments here. David Tilley, have you probably just from other? Okay. Sorry, I'm just talking to myself here. Brian, I'm going to plan on posting one this upcoming Monday morning. So what's the date on that? Night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Is that the 13th? I think. I think. It's this upcoming Monday. So yeah, just check out our Facebook page this upcoming Monday morning, usually around 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central time frame, something like that. So let's see.
I think we've put all the bows that we can.
I think we have to. So where are we at in the show, if you will?
I think it's that time.
wait.
I think it's that time.
Hold on. Time out. Should we flip-flop and do fan mail first?
Yeah, because once I get going, I ain't going to be able to stop.
Okay. So before we get to, we're going to actually be combining segments. So like our all-out recap, scrum recap, and then mic drop stuff. We're going to kind of combine that. But for the time being,
just when they think they got the answers, I change the questions.
Had to play the soundbite. I can't not play the soundbite. So, if you're not familiar with our podcast, our fan mail segment is where we take questions from you guys. And we have a few that I want to get to that were submitted ahead of time. If I can get this pulled up here. Okay. I'm going to skip some of the questions that would be more of a thinker because we get those every so often. So, David Tilley asks.
Of course, David Tilley.
David, we love you, buddy. We appreciate you sincerely. Do you think Triple H will make a real difference long term? On paper, that seems like a silly question, but when you think about it, it's not a bad question because he's made a good impact short term, but long term, do we think it continues? I'll let you go first.
My answer is yes. I think when you look at the overwhelming response to talent, both that are still there and ones that have left, who have all said, I have a great relationship with Triple H. Triple H has been nothing but supportive of me. The people that are like, no, I can just text Triple H and be like, hey, this is what's going on, or this is what I was thinking. He's super receptive. It's very supportive, and there's an open line of communication. I think that's what's important for me, is that one of the number one complaints that people had about Vince McMahon as far as talents go is that they didn't feel like he was approachable. They had a hard time being able to sit down, or they felt like whenever they did sit down with him, it was such a genuine conversation. They thought they got over and got their point across, and then like a week later, they're sitting and catering. or they were released. So I think a lot of the relationships that have either been broken or you've seen people leave because it wasn't Triple H in charge, you're going to see some of those people start to make their way back. And you're going to see some relationships get rekindled and fixed. And I think Cody Rhodes coming, even before Vince retired, I think Cody Rhodes coming back tells you that the grass is not greener on the other side. It's green where you water it. And you got to find out what house you just want to live in at this point. Where do you want to go that's going to give you the best opportunity to get what you want out of the business? Not about becoming the greatest, because let's face it, you can't be not everyone can be the greatest in every business, in every company. You're going to have to go find out where you fit and where your role is and if you're happy with that role. And I think you're going to start to see people find that under Triple H. Where do I fit? Am I happy? Am I making the money that I want to make? Am I reaching the goals and accomplishing the things that I want to do? And is my morale there? And I think Triple H is creating a model and a mold that fits that. If you want to look at long term, the black and gold brand, everybody wanted to stay there because of Triple H. And we're talking, that was what, 3 years strong? Black and gold that was there?
Roughly. I mean, probably arguably longer than that.
Your Tommaso Ciampas, your Johnny Garganos, your Adam Coles, those guys didn't want to leave the black and gold brand to go to a bigger platform and better opportunities in a sense because of Triple H. And so I think that's a huge testament to what he can do and the value that he creates. So I think the answer is yes.
I 100% agree. Couldn't have said it better myself. And you alluded to the NXT black and gold situation that I was going to mention. So you pretty much took my answer, which is fine. So Thomas Russell, thoughts on the Usos basically not being able to leave the country for shows?
You want to go?
Well, okay, hold on. There are differing opinions / I don't know, maybe it depends on who you talk to. So supposedly they can't travel overseas because they don't have the COVID vaccine. One of them definitely can't because of his legal issues. But notwithstanding that, could he still, would it matter? I guess is what I'm trying to say. But my answer to this is, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful to Thomas, I don't even say this to be disrespectful to the Usos. I don't really care. I shouldn't say I don't care. I'm just indifferent. I mean, does it make a difference to me if he wasn't on Clash at the Castle? No. Now, obviously, it didn't make a difference.
Obviously, it opens up doors for other people to get opportunities on those pay-per-views. We didn't see the tag belts defended, not the end of the world, because we got to see the Intercontinental Championship defended, which probably hasn't been on a pay-per-view in maybe over a year. So if it has, it's been far and few between. So I don't think it's a big deal. I think the biggest fear would be how it portrays into the Roman Reigns storylines, because Roman Reigns is obviously going to be on any card that is out of the country. So obviously not having them to do the whole bloodline thing that people are paying for could be a bummer to some fans and to some people who are buying tickets. But overall, who's to say that that's actually the truth? Maybe they just weren't there. There was no reason for them to have there. It was good storytelling with Solo Sikoa, like I said, to have him show up on his own. So, yeah.
Agreed. All right, we'll do one more question because I want to allow for enough time for the AEW stuff and the mic drop. The mic drops, if you will. Anyone know of wait, sorry, David. Didn't mean to put your comment up. That's not the one I wanted to go to.
We will address some of that though.
Eventually. I wanted Lumpy's question here. Do you think if Cody was still in AEW, the drama would be happening? I think it'd still be happening, but on a smaller scale, and you wouldn't have backstage brawls. This will be a great segue to our segment here in a second. But I think Cody saw the writing on the wall from not just a personal, but from a business standpoint, and how they were becoming too intertwined and left at the right time. There's so much more I could go into, but I mean, it would be stuff that you guys have already read on social media. And
so I think this question has to speak more to Tony Khan than it does Cody Rhodes, because I think Cody had the most pull with Tony Khan. If you look at how things were done when Cody was there, a lot of it had more to do with Cody and Tony's relationship. And so when they kind of hit a wall, I think that's when Cody realized, oh, you know what? I don't really have a say. Like, I can claim the EVP title, and like I said, I'll talk more about this later on, but the EVP title really doesn't mean a whole lot. I know it sounds good on paper, and they might give them a little bit of pull here and there, but ultimately Tony has the keys in his vehicle. He's the driver, and I think Cody saw that, oh, if this guy doesn't want to take my advice or, see what I'm seeing, he doesn't really have to, and I could just get drug into some things that I don't want to be a part of. And so I think Cody was smart for getting out. Do I think the drama would still be happening? I think the drama was happening. I don't think the drama's not been there this entire time. I think it's always been there, even before CM Punk signed. I think there have been pride and issue things going on with the different people that are heavily involved and who's going to run what. There's no real locker room leader. There's a lot of issues there that we'll touch more on, but I don't think the problems were non-existent when Cody was there. I think Cody was kind of the glue that was holding it together with TK, saying, hey, this is what we need to do here to keep this drama at bay, especially from keeping it or putting it into the media world for everyone to eat up.
Agreed. All right. It's time. We're going to discuss All Out. We'll discuss the scrum.
The more exciting part of the night.
We'll take 10 or 15 minutes, and then we're going to wrap it up. Just one other thing, as far as our podcasts moving forward, I know a lot of times we are going 2 hours, 2+ hours. We're going to try to keep it hour and a half every night, just because we want to respect your guys' time and don't want to keep you on here all night. We'll reserve those nights for whenever we do our watch parties. So, but as far as the All Out recap, we're not going to go through all 40 matches or however many it was.
I'm sure you're close.
If you count the pre-show, it was 15 matches.
So let's just wrap up. Let's wrap up 0 Hour with a big fat boring.
Well, okay. This is where you disagree with. So we watched it at our buddy Austin's house, and we'll actually just skip to the Kingston Ishii match, the chop fest. Cole absolutely hated it, but me and Austin were loving it. I mean, it was I thought it was hilarious. So
no.
He disagrees, which is fine.
It was like watching two dads come out to the ring, arguing about whose kid should have got to start in the soccer game, like Pee Wee Soccer League game, and they don't know how to fight, so they just slapped each other. For that match had to go 10 minutes, 12 minutes.
It was 13 and a half minutes.
Way
6 minutes of it was chops.
Way too long, and the rest was botches. I mean, it was so bad. It should not have happened. It was like the Dollar Tree version of Gunther and Sheamus. It was bad.
Uh-oh. I'm not the only one that thinks. I won't say it was awesome. I would say it was entertaining. But anyway, as far as the rest of the pre-show, just other notes coming out of it. Ruby Soho gets a broken nose. By the way, Cole called it as soon as he showed up to our buddy Austin's house. He came in probably maybe third match. I think Pac and Kip Sabian were wrestling. He actually came in and he was just like, I'm going to predict that there's going to be at least one botch in every match after I told him that Ruby Soho got a broken nose. He wasn't far off. There are a lot of botches on this pay-per-view. So that being said, I won't discuss the pre-show other than, I mean, you guys can look up the results. There are 3 title matches on the pre-show. All the champions retained.
None of them mattered.
Surprise, surprise. The opening match, the casino ladder match, the Joker, who was eventually to be revealed to be MJF, pulls down the poker chip or whatever it was.
No, he didn't.
No,
he did.
Stokely Hathaway pulled down the poker chip and then handed it to the Joker. But I don't know, just
sorry, I'm going to be talking about this later, so I just wanted you guys to see.
That's fine. To put it in context, at this point in the pay-per-view, I already thought it was underwhelming, and it didn't improve for the rest of the night. I did not like this match. I don't know how to put my finger on it, but
let me help you.
Well, hold on. I think it was because you had 4 pre-show matches. By this point, your opening match feels like you're already in the middle of the card. And I didn't like the fact that you had someone pulling down the poker chip and then you have the Joker come out. Like, I don't know. But anyway. But yeah, I was going to allude to this too. Ryan beat me to it. Claudio's botch of trying to lift the ladder with who was on it at the time? Let me just look here. Was it
one of the Lucha Bros?
Was it Andrade? Maybe I think it was Andrade.
It might have been Andrade.
Either way, but he was trying to lift him up in such a way that he would have propelled forward over the turnbuckle, and it wasn't working. And so he just kind of hoisted him over the rope, and it was not good. So anyway, go ahead.
How long was this match?
Actually, not very. It was only a little over 14 minutes.
14-minute long ladder match. Let's just start from the beginning. It's the dumbest stipulation in the entire world to have a 7-person ladder match.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8-person ladder match. But you can pull down the chip whenever. You start with 2 people, and technically the match could be over before the 8th person even comes out. That is a stupid stipulation. I just wanted to point that out.
Agreed.
Off jump. Dumb. Don't ever do it again. Fix it. Wrong. 14 minutes for a ladder match where 90% of the people weren't even in the match until the 6 or 7 minute mark is also terrible. They didn't have everybody in the ring. The Joker had not even came out yet before the chip was pulled down, technically. So you're 12 minutes of the match. You didn't even have everybody in the match that was supposed to be in the match. The faction, they should make a rule where you can't go for the chip till everyone's out. That would at least make somewhat of sense.
But
again,
the problem with that is they're trying to not be too much like Money in the Bank. And that's not the good way to go about it.
Money in the Bank, everyone starts the match off at the same time.
Yeah, but I mean, still, even having everybody come out like one by one, it feels like you're mixing the Money in the Bank with the Royal Rumble, and
it's like a ladder match battle royale, though. It's just dumb. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. I don't think they should do it like that going forward. The Stokely Hathaway group, which again on Dynamite, they really didn't explain why they helped MJF in the first place. It just got cut for time, and they beat up a production guy. That group doesn't even make any sense. I don't understand how W. Morrissey, Ethan Page, the Gun Club, or the 2 Gun Brothers.
You can honestly say that expression, which one is not like the other. You could pick out any one of them, and it would be like, well, Ethan Page isn't like the rest of them. Lee Moriarty isn't like the rest of them. The Gun, Colton and Austin Gunn, aren't like the others. W. Morrissey, like the only combination on paper that would really make sense, in my opinion, is having Morrissey take the role that Wardlow had and put him with MJF. That's the only thing to me that even remotely makes sense. And they've already done it. So I don't see them doing that either. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of just the whole thing was a joke. And they didn't even explain why they helped MJF in the first place. MJF's not with them. At least they're not showing it that way. And he's apparently going to be getting a massive baby face push the way things are going. So it wouldn't make sense to put them together. So that group doesn't even make sense. Having them come out and help MJF doesn't make sense. MJF could have literally just came back, not been the Joker, all that stuff. I get it. I will say this, fast forwarding, I liked the little clip, the whole Tony Khan calling him and that being how they revealed him. Why couldn't they just have done that and had him come out as the Joker? Like, why not just play that, like do an intro package of him with the clip, the lights go out, you hear the thing, his music hits, he comes out in the ring, no one's in the ring. If you wanted him to just get it and not to fight, cool. He could have had the lights hit, everyone's out of the ring, makes this big, whatever, or he knocks everybody out with some punches with the ring or whatever, and then he goes up, climbs the ladder, cool. You want to make W. Morrissey his muscle, cool. Whatever. It did not need to be a mystery Joker. I thought that was so dumb.
I agree. They shouldn't have done it after the title match. They should have done it during this match, made the reveal during this match, and look, he could have come out like he did with the mask on, then the lights go out, then played that video package, then the lights come back up, and it's just MJF already strolling down to the ring with the theme music, and then, like, literally, like you said, everybody's outside the ring. He just walks up the ladder, grabs the chip, and then we're good.
Love it. I absolutely love it. So I thought this was a terrible way to kick off the card.
We're going to have to kind of breeze through a lot of this. It's already 9:30 Eastern time, and we still got some housekeeping to do here shortly. So no surprise, the Elite temporarily come up with
for one night only
for the AEW Trios Championship, defeating Hangman Page in the Dark Order, a 20-minute match. I had no problem with the match itself. I mean, it was predictable. There were a couple of near falls, but besides that, a couple of near falls for Dark Order and Page. But besides that, I mean, we knew who was going to win this match. So outcome predictable. The match itself was good. No issues with it. So
it was all right.
Oh gosh, the next match. Jade Cargill retained the championship.
I about left.
Defeating Athena. This match went 4 minutes.
I about left. They buried Athena. Who is booking this stuff?
4 minutes.
They let other people look stronger against Jade Cargill. You've been building this storyline up for months. And you had Athena not just lose. I think even though I'm not a Jade Cargill fan, I could understand the booking if it was like a 15-minute match and whatever, there was some distractions and stuff too whatever. I get it. 4 minutes to bury her. The best women's talent you've signed to date.
Maybe the best women's talent in ring that they have on their roster right now.
And you buried her. Not just I
can only laugh about it now. I mean, it's comical.
Buried her. Buried her. Like I don't know if there's a coming back from that.
And look, yes, I get that they had to cut time for the match.
Why?
Then it goes back on your production team. But the fact of the matter is, why are you cutting time from your third match on the card at this point? Like,
not to mention, you already had Christian Cage and Jungle Boy have a dumb match, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, exactly. You knew ahead of time that was going to take 2 minutes, however long it was. We'll get there. Anyway. I
got to put this one up. She got Ruby Soho'd.
Pretty much.
That is so true. At least Ruby had a good match with Britt Baker, and it made sense why she lost. But
yeah. Wardlow and FTR defeat Jay Lethal and Motor City Machine Guns, about 16 and a half minutes.
I got to put this. Where is that comment at?
On paper, this should have just been FTR and Motor City Machine Guns tag match.
I was putting it up. Where is it at? I don't know if it popped up or not.
You just had it.
It wasn't coming up on my screen. There it is.
It would have been, yes.
First off, why isn't Wardlow defending the TNT title on this pay-per-view?
Why isn't FTR defending any of their 50 tag titles that they have?
Which, again, I'm of the mindset of you could have kept this match when MCMG versus FTR. I love that match. I do. I think that's a great match. But why not do even if you didn't want it to be Jay Lethal fighting for it, why not do Wardlow versus anybody on your roster? You have so much talent that's on your roster that you're not using. Why not put him up against somebody? You can have him win. That's cool. I don't understand it.
I don't know.
This match didn't need to happen. If this is how they were going to do it, just to get names on the card, they could have scratched this match for all I cared.
Yeah, I agree. Next match, Powerhouse Hobbs defeats Ricky Starks. 5 minutes. Ricky Starks also got buried on this event.
Scratch. Make this one of your 0-hour matches because no one cares about this storyline. Absolutely no one cares. And I think you picked the wrong guy to push. I'm not saying Will Hobbs is bad. He's got a cool look, whatever. But everyone's over on Ricky Starks.
Oh yeah. Did you like so much backlash with no pun intended? So much backlash with this Champions tournament or whatever the AEW's calling it right now that they didn't put Ricky Starks in this tournament. And I get the detractors were just like, well, he just lost to Powerhouse Hobbs on the pay-per-view. Why would you put him in the tournament? Well, why would you put Bryan Danielson in the tournament?
I'm just saying
out.
They should have Ricky Starks beat him with like a roll-up pin. And if this match needed to happen quick, cool. Have him win with a roll-up pin in 5 minutes. Call it a day. But nobody cares. That's true. I totally agree with that statement. I don't think he should be they're saying he's in line for a big push. I don't know why.
I don't see it.
I would have rather him fight Wardlow one-on-one for the TNT title and got beat by Wardlow. I don't understand why this match happened in the first place. And 5 minutes was a waste of 5 minutes. You could have give that 5 minutes to Jade and Athena at that point.
Yeah. All right, we got to move a little bit quicker here. Swerve in Our Glory defeats the Acclaimed.
Best match of the night.
Oh, easily match of the night. 22 and a half minutes long. I said while we were watching it, I think that they should have pulled an audible, not on the match finish, but they should have pulled an audible at the end where they had the Billy Gunn and Keith Lee and their little acknowledgement of like whatever their scissor thing that they do. And I don't know. I think they should have steered away from doing that and inevitably brought more heat to Swerve in Our Glory / brought more of a face reaction for the Acclaimed, because it was obvious last night that they want Swerve and Lee to be heels in this storyline. I mean, it's obvious. So, any quick thoughts from you on that one?
I'll speak more about that during kind of the scrum because that's a little bit more on Swerve and
that's fine.
And Keith, but the Acclaim, they killed it. I didn't think I'm not really much on them, but they're over with the fans. I agree with you. The audible should have at least been called.
I wasn't originally an Acclaimed fan, but I mean they're slowly winning me over. They do some mannerisms, I'll call, that I don't necessarily like or condone, but at least in terms of their in-ring abilities and in-ring talent. And I'll be honest, Caster's raps are getting more entertaining. So
the fans showed last night though who they want, and it's not the guys that you paid all that money to, because they shouldn't be a tag team together in the first place.
Oh yeah.
So I thought they could have even called the audible to put it on them. And now that they're scheduled for round 2, don't be shocked if that actually happens. So.
I think it will. I think they got this wrong. Toni Storm becomes interim AEW Women's Champion, defeating Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, Hikaru Shida. 14-minute match, 14 and a half minutes or so. Think they got it wrong.
She would have been my third pick to win this match.
And I'll be honest, by this point in the pay-per-view, just I was so disinterested. I wasn't even watching the match. I just like, what was 11th match of the night? And I'm just like, I don't care. And all the rumors were that they were going to put it on Toni Storm anyway. So I'm just like, whatever. So next match technically went 20 minutes from bell to bell, or I'm sorry, 20 seconds. Christian Cage defeats Jungle Boy. Makes no sense whatsoever that they even had this match, period, but it makes even less sense that they actually had Christian go over.
They could have literally just canceled this match.
Yeah.
The storyline can't progress. So Christian getting a win and then being out at the most 9 months. Why not just cancel the match? You have Jungle Boy cut a promo that says, you know, whatever. I would have kept Lucha face at that point, Luchasaurus, because there's no point in him being heel. Him and Jungle Boy feuding without Christian doesn't, to me, make a whole lot of sense. The turn didn't have to happen that night. You could have just canceled the match. Christian got hurt. Jungle Boy cuts a promo saying, oh, he's running, he's faking, whatever. You can put...
I said this during the pay-per-view.
Yes, he did. And so, like, legitimately, I was like, why not leave Luchasaurus, a good guy, with Jungle Boy? They continue to be a tag team because you're lacking some of that. You throw a third person in there with them, let them go for the trios once or twice, whatever you want to do, cool. But then when Christian's ready to come back, then you turn Luchasaurus 9 months from now, when it would make sense to do that. Yeah. And then do Christian and Jungle Boy then. But now it's like you've started this storyline that has to be put on hold for 9 months. So thought it was terrible. Again, you need to cut time. This is the thing you should have cut.
Oh, yeah. Next match, Jericho gets the win over Bryan Danielson. About 23 and a half minutes. This match went way too long. At this point in the night, no one wants to watch a 23-minute match, no matter who it is, in my opinion. And I don't get the online praise that this match is getting. I didn't like it. I was so length of the card aside. I didn't see it. I know Jericho was just like, you know, anytime I wrestle someone like Bryan Danielson or whenever I wrestled Undertaker, like I think his comment was, you know, where have you been all my life or something like that. I didn't see it. I guess I don't know.
My thing is that you build Bryan Danielson as like the best wrestler out there, like he's the greatest, like you protected him so well, and then you have him lose to like the oldest Jericho I think I've ever seen. Like, not that Jericho's bad, it's just you can't build Bryan Danielson to me as one of these great, strong competitors and then have him take a loss to Chris Jericho. Yeah. It's not a diss at Jericho. It just doesn't make sense because they don't, like, Jericho just doesn't even look to be on the same level as Bryan Danielson. And so I don't really like the booking altogether. They really probably shouldn't have faced each other in the first place. But, yeah, I don't think Jericho should have been in this match, and I don't think he should have won it.
Yeah. 6-man tag, which the placement of this matches on this card, something we've not at all mentioned. The placement of the matches on this card is so all over the place. Like, none of it made sense. You have, for context, by the way, you have a 6-man tag match that goes on next to last, but you have another 6-man tag that went on matches before that was for your inaugural Trios Championship.
This is the third 6-man tag of the night.
Yeah. How does that make any sense whatsoever? Like you said, you have not one, but 2 6-man tag matches that go on after your Trios Championship match. Anyway, Darby Allin, Sting, and Miro get the win over House of Black. About a 12-minute match. I don't even remember the finish to this match, if I'm being 100% honest. The only thing my only takeaway from this match was Malachi Black. It appears that he is done with AEW for now, whether it's, if he ever comes back, he's at least done long-term with AEW if he comes back to AEW or if he comes back to pro wrestling at all. But I hope he gets the help that he needs with whatever he's dealing with. If it's physical illness, mental illness, whatever's going on, just thoughts and prayers out to him. Yeah, your thoughts.
This match was not good enough to be where it's placed on the card. I would have traded this match with the trios tag match, or the acclaimed Swerve in Our Glory tag match. Yeah. I would have put one of those two matches deeper in the card. This match was just, I'm going to be real with you, it wasn't really that good. Kind of boring to watch. Alex and I and our buddy Austin, we all actually kind of felt like the whole entire night felt slow. It felt like the pace of the pay-per-view just was off.
Well, here's the odd dynamic of how the pay-per-view felt. It felt underwhelming all night. And we'll get to the main event. We're not forgetting it. It felt underwhelming all night, start to finish. B, it felt slow. But individual matches also felt rushed in general. Some did not. But the vast majority of the matches on this card felt rushed. So it's amazing that somehow you've managed to make your card feel like it's just dragging and dragging and dragging, but yet somehow your matches feel rushed. It's just such an odd dynamic that I can't even explain it. Anyway. So yeah, I agree. Main event, CM Punk gets the win, wins the AEW World Championship for one night only.
True.
20-minute match. And then again, MJF comes out. We mentioned the reveal. He comes out, takes the Joker mask off in the video. His music hits. The crowd loses it. The Chicago crowd, CM Punk's hometown, the pop was louder for MJF's return than it was for CM Punk's title win. Just saying.
I mean, I pointed that out during the show, and I thought it was shocking that I think they really expected the crowd to go nuts for CM Punk, given that they had him lose a squash match to Jon Moxley so they could get this pop. Both when he came out, it was almost dead silent compared to other pops in Chicago for him. And when he won, it wasn't really that crazy.
Jon Moxley got just as good of a reaction for his entrance as Punk did.
And during the match, you could hear clearly both names getting chanted. So it was a house divided for CM Punk in Chicago during this pay-per-view. And like you said, the pop was loud for MJF. He was getting chanted in Chicago when the other guy across the pond was CM Punk.
Yeah. All right, so that covers the pay-per-view. Let's talk about the scrum.
Ugh.
So
the best part of the night.
I've not watched all of the scrum. I watched the CM Punk part, but that was it. I know you alluded to stuff that was going on during the Swerve and the Lee part of the scrum.
Oh my goodness.
I'll defer to that part to you. I do want to watch the time because it's 10:15 Eastern, 9:15 Central. If we can, I'd love to be able to wrap this up within the next 9 or 10 minutes, if at all possible. But
it's been so long. It's been so long.
Agreed. Most of our shows will be hour to hour and a half moving forward. I'll actually defer to you if you want to go first. Now, you're just going to talk about the scrum at this point. You're not doing your mic drops
yet.
I
will save my mic drop.
Okay.
But this has a lot to play in. So let's just talk about it, and then we'll go from there. So we kick off the media scrum. And at first, I had to actually go back and watch somebody's video, like somebody that was a part of the scrum's video, to get the actual context. Here's the thing. The scrum that we saw on YouTube or wherever you decided to watch it, it kicks off with CM Punk says the audio was off. It just kicks off with him talking about Scott Colton. And for those who don't know, that's Colt Cabana. he just kicks out them talking this journal. You would you consider yourself friends with him? And he was like, no, we don't see eye to eye. He goes, oh, and then he just talks about if you're going to be a respectable journalist, and starts ripping into this Colt Cabana situation about his side of the story, rips into EVPs, rips into Hangman Page, and you have Tony Khan, the president of this company, the CEO of this company, sitting right next to him, almost as in he's in a way that he's defending what CM Punk's saying. At one point in time, he said, "I should have not commented when I was asked about this last time. I should have stepped up. I should have put it into this, whatever." And then Punk's like, "No, it's not your responsibility to do this," and yada yada. And again, it's ripping into everybody. And the fact is that they spent more time talking about something that should have never been really pushed this hard into the media in the first place. They spent more time talking about all this backstage drama than they did the pay-per-view. They didn't even really, CM Punk really didn't even discuss the win. He didn't discuss the match. He didn't discuss the build-up to Moxley. There wasn't really a whole lot of talk. Majority of his time was spent on him rambling on about how he felt about things that were going on. And when I went back and I watched one of the interviewers' videos, he instigated that conversation.
Yeah, this is what I was going to say too. So I'll sorry if I'm stepping on your toes here. I was just going to.
No, you're good.
So these are comments made by Dave Meltzer, our buddy Dave. So he said that Punk's media scrum rant was intentional and practiced beforehand. I think Dave clarified that he never said the word practiced, but however you want to look at it. It was apparent as he targeted Nick Hausman, who's that guy with Wrestling Inc., friends with Colt Cabana, straight away when no question was asked, wanting to bury Colt Cabana. Dave noted that Punk talking about Hangman Page not doing anything in the business is false, says that the pay-per-views headlined by Adam Page actually drew more than some of the ones that Punk did, and adds that Hangman Page has been a key guy in building the company. And I don't want to jump ahead, but he says some other things, and I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, I wanted to read that, so just to add some context to what you're saying.
It's my exact point, is that I would understand Punk being frustrated, and if someone asked a question regarding that he felt the need to have to defend himself when it should be about the business. And he kind of made a comment that was like, I shouldn't have to be doing this. I'm trying to run a business. I'm trying to do this and this. I shouldn't have to take time to answer this. Yet no one asked the question. So
unprovoked.
Had the question been asked, I would have been like, okay, I see why. I still wouldn't agree with it, but I see why you felt the need to have to address it now, because people won't let it drop or die. And you're saying you didn't even do anything. Well, if you didn't do anything, then leave it alone.
Yeah.
People that respond the way he did, to me, speaks guilty. It means that you actually did do something, and now you're mad that you got called on it. And so the fact that he wasn't provoked and that he just came in hot and heavy, ready to go to war, basically, spoke a lot to me. And I think it was disrespectful of him to MJF, because I think it stepped all over what was already what we agree on. It was a mediocre return that should have been done better for MJF's sake. But you stepped on an MJF return and a big storyline, a continued storyline that should have been the focal point of that scrum, and not backstage drama that should not even be in the media in the first place.
An hour after the pay-per-view goes off air, nobody is talking about it. Nobody.
Right.
At all. Anyway, to sort of take the reins from you, he went on to basically bury the EVPs over alleged stuff that had been leaked to dirt sheets or whatever. Anyway, so fast forward a little bit. I'm actually going to read this. Dave says Punk has been a divisive figure and rubbing people off the wrong way in the locker room for a long time, telling guys to not do stuff that got them over. and successful in the first place, preaching old business philosophies, and adds that some listened while others didn't, which made Punk angry. Meltzer added that Tony Khan should have stopped Punk, which this is something you alluded to, and I 100% agree. Should have stopped Punk when he started burying his guys. Says the Bucks have done way more for the business, providing jobs than Punk ever did, which, like it or not, guys, is 100% true. If AEW had not been started, now Tony Khan is just as much part of this. I mean, arguably his dad is more so from, the financial side. But you can't deny Tony Khan's involvement as well. But primarily the Bucks, the Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Cody Rhodes. Had they not started AEW, arguably you'd have a ton of people on that roster that wouldn't have jobs at all, or would just be doing indie stuff still and making a heck of a lot less money. So I get that a lot of people don't like the Bucks. I get that a lot of people don't like Kenny Omega. I understand it. It's all a matter of preference as far as wrestling goes, but you cannot deny the fact that they've changed the wrestling business by forming AEW. Period.
Right.
So, and I'm going to throw up David Tilley's comment. He's been very vocal about the fact that he's not a Young Bucks fan, but I mean, you can't argue with the aesthetics of the situation in its entirety. So then fast forward, we have come to find out that after the scrum, the Bucks went to Punk's locker room, depending on whose story you believe, whether they kicked in the door or just walked in or whatever. It led to a scrum after the scrum, so to speak. I mean, literally led to a backstage fight that involved CM Punk, Ace Steel, the Bucks. Apparently Kenny was involved enough to, get suspended, which I'll get there in a second. CD, Christopher Daniels, Michael Nakazawa, Brandon Cutler. Am I missing anybody? I think that's everybody that got suspensions.
You said Pat Buck.
Pat Buck. No, I did not say him. Pat Buck as well. So all of those guys were in some way, shape, or form involved in the scrum enough to where they got suspended. And Nick Jackson allegedly caught a chair to the eye, giving him a black eye. Kenny Omega allegedly had his hair pulled and bitten. I was going to say this. Mark Dodd makes a good point. Mega, I forgot her last name, but she's head of their legal department. Essentially, excuse me, basically saw the whole thing. I want to throw this comment up too. Chris, I thought the exact same thing because I know that Cutler records everything for their BTE YouTube channel. Man, if he was recording any of it and any of it ever got released, that'd be fantastic. But we'll see what happens. But right now, the update, the only thing I know of is probably what you guys already know. The guys are suspended. Ace Steel potentially fired. CM Punk potentially gone. Who knows? But
anyway. Not to mention he's hurt.
Yeah.
He's going to be out with the injury alone for 8 months probably. But I want to talk about the scrum just a little bit more beyond the CM Punk stuff because I thought it was just telling in general.
Yeah, and the rest of Scrum I've not watched, so I'm completely deferring to you at this point.
So then we get to the Keith Lee Swerve stuff, which you guys will find, you can see in the video that a security guard actually rushes out of the room, more than likely to go deal with the backstage fight. But I want to focus on the actual interview because I felt Swerve and Keith Lee were literally out of sync answering questions. And I don't think it's kayfabe. I don't think they work together. There was no chemistry whatsoever. Tony Khan actually sat between them, which I thought was telling as well. Why is your tag champions sitting on opposite sides of the table, and why are their answers contradicting one another? People asked about the Acclaimed and how over they were with the crowd, and you got Keith Lee to say, "Oh, they were great. They earned some of my respect, and whatever." But Swerve's like, nah, they suck. Like, they're garbage. And, yada, yada, yada. I'm the best there is in this company, and you saw that tonight. I wish someone would step up and show us. Ain't nobody ever want to talk about how we don't deserve this, but look, come take them from us, and yada, yada, yada. And it was not a good storytelling if it was meant to lead to them breaking up in the near future and whatever. It was awkward, and it was not good at all. So then I want to fast forward. After that, they bring in Toni Storm. Now, I'm pretty sure after Toni Storm was supposed to actually be Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, it was to have been said that they were supposed to be a part of this scrum and been answering questions, and obviously that didn't happen.
Wait, hold on, back up a second. Who came in?
Toni Storm was the next one.
Okay.
And then after that was Chris Jericho. And I'm pretty sure Jericho was a last-minute pull.
To replace. Yeah, okay. I got you.
Because I think it was supposed to be the Young Bucks and Kenny. The Toni Storm interview, I had described it to Alex the best way that I could. It was so cringe between the two Tonys, if you will. It was almost as if she was acting as if TK was like a sex offender that she had to be in the room with. Like it was someone that had abused her at some point. It was so awkward. Like he would like try to touch her on the shoulder and like make physical contact. It was just kind of like this. Okay, you can stop that. It was not good. And Thunder Rosa was mentioned during this. On screen, they're supposed to be friends. On screen, they're supposed to be like the Thunderstorm tag team. I know that there's beef or whatever backstage, but why on the mic would you be like, well, Thunder Rosa, she basically said she wants to pretend she's hurt. Whenever she wants to decide she's not hurt, she can come and I will whoop her butt for this title. And it's like, what happened to, like, why wouldn't that have been like I love her, she's great in the ring, but when she comes back, we're going to have to decide who's the better woman. Or what, like, keep the magic alive. Everything was awkward, and then this is what bothered me. And this goes back to some of the results and some of the booking and some of the issues, and this can, easily start going towards my mic drop, so I'm going to try to contain myself. But Tony Khan had the nerve to say that, Toni Storm was asked, who are some of the people you're looking forward to defending that belt against? And the names that Tony Khan said, which we just saw one of them, which tells me that the other ones aren't going to be far off. He was naming people that would be great title defenses for Toni Storm. And he said names like Penelope Ford, Red Velvet, and I'm trying to remember the third one. I think Jamie Hayter was the other one, which that one kind of made sense to me. But you didn't say names like Britt Baker. You didn't say names like Athena. You didn't say names if you're booking Jay Cargill as hard as you are Jay Cargill. You didn't say names like Ruby Soho. You didn't say any of the top tier talented women that are actually on your roster. You went to the women that fight on Dark. That's going to be the great title defenses that Toni Storm could have. And I'm completely right on this because if you watch Dynamite, her match against Penelope Ford might as well not even have happened. It was garbage. It was a terrible match. So thought that was a very telling sign with Toni Storm. And then Chris Jericho comes in. They had to text him to get him in there. He wasn't even ready to go out there, which is why I think he was like the last minute pull. And what Chris Jericho says from the mic is basically the rally. And I think it's because he just knows what just happened and maybe he was trying to get in front of it. But was talking about how he had a talk with the locker room and saying that y'all need to tone some of this crap down. You guys need to get your acts together and, trying to kind of assume that role of locker room leader, if you will, and getting things together and kind of praised MJF and, was probably the most professional on how he handled himself throughout the entire scrum. And just, before we get into our mic drops for the night to end the night, two things that stuck out to me even on Dynamite this last night, I should say, is Jon Moxley's promo that was cut. I don't know if you got a chance to see Dynamite or not yet, Alex.
I'm not.
But I would encourage you to go watch Jon Moxley's promo after MJF, which, by the way, MJF, pure gold, as always. Great to have him.
When is he not?
Great to have him back on TV. But Moxley coming out, he said things that I think needed to be said along the lines of, if you have passion for this business, and he's passionate, he loves this business, he loves this locker room, he loves what AEW represents. He got back to the roots of what AEW was supposed to be. And he was talking about all this stuff, and it was like, man, that's the attitude that should be at AEW, and it's the complete opposite, which, again, I'm going to hold myself back on that statement just for a second. But it was such a great promo, one of the best I've seen Jon Moxley do since being in AEW. Really enjoyed what he had to say, and Chris Jericho, when he spoke, it was definitely a rallying the troops of, if you want to be in this business and you want to be in AEW, you better get your act together, because there are some of us that are experienced, we're passionate, we love this business, we love what AEW is trying to do, we believed in it, we didn't leave our careers with WWE, which was still a big platform and plenty of money to be made, so that we could come here and start a company that would fold within 5 years that it started. And so just wanted to mention those two things too, because I thought they were very telling as well, coming out of the scrum and kind of the post results of that. So.
All right, it's getting late, so we got to do this thing.
Am I going first?
I might not go tonight just because of time, but one of us has got to go, so might as well be you.
All right, buddy. Well, you feel free to join in with me wherever you'd like, because I got a lot to say.
Well, we gotta watch the time.
I will.
Not just for the viewer's sake, but honestly for my sake as well. So
I will do my best here. Guys, I am not on. Let me just say this: the whole precedent here is that AEW absolutely is garbage right now. I am the least bit interested in watching, and Alex actually knows I wasn't able to watch. The route and the access that I had to watch it was taken away. I got it back now. But I wasn't even able to watch it for the past month. And honestly, I didn't miss it. There is nothing about AEW that is exciting. It is not the company that they portrayed to us when they started. And this is where the mic drops start to come in. CM Punk, hear me out, is the worst signing they have ever made. And here's why. Number one, first and foremost, they were doing fine without him. They were doing just fine without CM Punk. They did not need him. People were hot on AEW. Everybody was loving the product. They were loving the people they were signing. They were going to use the people that WWE should have used correctly. Everything was going good. You bring in CM Punk, and it pushed everybody to the back of the line. He was supposed to be the guy that came in and put over new talent and got new talent over. Instead, he came in and he became champion. Not once, but twice, both due to injuries. Can't stay healthy. He's a locker room cancer. And now everyone who thought WWE was tripping back in the day 10 years ago, you're seeing that it's not a one-sided thing. Let's just put it that way. CM Punk's a cancer. He is self-centered. He is selfish. He is all about him. And I'm going to agree with you. Back in WWE, he was super talented. This dude is not that good to be putting up with all this crap that he has brought to the table. Whether he's right or wrong, I don't care. Somebody who's professional, someone who's a veteran, someone who's a legend, someone who's supposed to be there to build that company up, has done nothing but shot it in the foot over and over and over again. This guy should not be in the business. I hope he retires. I hope he's done. I brought this just so y'all can see how dead serious I am. This CM Punk shirt, it's going in the trash can. That's how passionate I am about CM Punk and everything that's going on.
Rip it.
If I could,
take some scissors to it.
I will. I have scissors right here just to show you how passionate I am about this.
Here it comes.
We'll see how good quality WWE shirts are, because this is a WWE shirt.
As I say, if you get past that seamed part, just pull a Hogan.
There you go. It's over. This guy should not be in the wrestling business. It's an absolute joke that they've allowed this to go on. Tony Khan should be stepping up as the CEO of this company. This crap would never have happened in WWE. This is where things are different. People were upset with Vince McMahon. You never heard about it. Not to this extreme, not to the point of it all getting out of the media. You have to be smart. And if Tony Khan's smart, he would let this guy walk. He would let this guy go. And he would focus on the other talent that is there. For time's sake, I won't go through it. But I pulled up the roster that AEW has. I encourage you guys to go look at the roster and tell me that there isn't 15 other guys that are a better in-ring performer than CM Punk. I don't care how good he is on the mic. Guess what? He's not had a good promo since he's been there. And to be completely honest, his mic drop promo that got him over in WWE was really not that good looking back on it, because I feel Kevin Owens did a better version of it a couple years later. Listen, AEW is in a world of hurt right now. The booking is terrible. Absolutely terrible. And even last night, the fact that you put the trios tag titles on Pac and Penta and Rey Fenix, I thought that was a horrible call. Absolutely horrible call. No need to put it on them. Pac's already a champion. You have all this talent sitting at your disposal. You had Tony Nese get buried by Wardlow. Why is Tony Nese getting buried by Wardlow? I don't understand this stuff. Why is Brian Cage not on pay-per-views?
Yes.
Why is Samoa Joe not on pay-per-views? Why am I looking at a roster that is full of star-studded talented? Why would you let Bobby Fish walk, who creates one of the best tag teams on your division in Red Dragon? I don't care how long Kyle O'Reilly or Adam Cole is hurt. Bobby Fish is way more talented than half the guys that is on that roster. It is AEW, I'm sorry, is an absolute joke. I am not going to be watching it. I watched last night to see how they would handle the scrum stuff, and it's been terrible. You did a tournament for Grand Slam, and you gave Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho buys. Nobody should be getting a bye with how much talent is on your roster. You should have Keith Lee and Swerve in a tag team. Those guys are both way too talented to be in that situation. Like I said, I don't think Dead Triangle should have won the trios. You want to sell merch, you want to get things over, put a title in Orange Cassidy and the Best Friend. The trios titles is an easy one. Danhausen's with them. It would be absolutely comedy gold and entertaining on TV to have those guys have the belts, cut promos, do some matches, do some different things. But they have time and time again. I'm trying to make it quick. That's why I'm not taking a breath. They have time and time again failed us. And this is what I'll leave it with. Something that Roman Reigns has said a while back when they were talking about storylines. He said, I'm over here cooking steaks. I'm not here to do mediocre stuff. I'm cooking steaks. Here's what I want to say is that people have not held AEW to the same standard that WWE was held to all these years, and it's time people step up because AEW is making microwave food right now. They have time and time again tried to reheat their company with a new signing, with a new name, with a new debut, and they have failed all of those debuts minus one or two, maybe. Some of them you might be able to make an argument for. But all these people that came in that should have been pushed and they should have had these big draws and all this stuff, you have failed. Every single one of them. Adam Cole is on that list. Bryan Danielson, I'm sorry, is on that list.
Which, by the way, I want to step in here real quick. It's amazing how much has changed in a year, because this time last year we were all talking about All Out 2021 and how it was potentially top 3 wrestling pay-per-views of all time of any company ever, top to bottom. I mean, not just the debuts, just the matches themselves, match quality and everything. And of course, you had Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson do the double debut that night. But fast forward till now.
And I'll even, Chris Robinson, you said this, and here's the thing. I've never been very high, and Alex can back me on this. I've never been high on AEW. I've always been more a true WWE fan. That's always been more of my mold. Of course, frustrations with WWE, especially during the Vince McMahon run of things. But AEW was doing some cool things, and they were getting fans on their side. They were getting the backing without CM Punk. And CM Punk has single-handedly drove this thing into the ground, and I got to tag team that with Tony Khan. Tony Khan it's like, as a Dallas Cowboys fan, I can say this. Tony Khan is like Jerry Jones being the GM of his own team. He is the reason why they don't win championships. He is the reason why they are not successful. They can have a fan base all they want, but it doesn't change the fact that the product is garbage on a week in and a week out basis. Tony Khan needs to just supply the money and be a fan. Allow these guys that are veterans, that have class, that have the ability to run this company, And so I wanted to end it with saying they got to stop doing microwave stuff, thinking that this quick cooking, this quick heat stuff is going to get them over. And honestly, I'm not team CM Punk, and I'm not team EVPs either. This whole situation has been handled so unprofessionally. This whole situation has been handled in such a poor manner from Tony Khan, from the EVPs, who honestly, let's be real, those three do not know enough to be EVPs. They're not seasoned enough in the business as a whole to be EVPs, and they're active wrestlers. You're never going to get everybody to support you and connect with you when you're still focused on getting your character and gimmick over and giving yourself titles, even though you deserve it, because you're the highlight guys that are on the roster. That's why people followed you there in the first place. So allow these older veteran guys, allow the Paul Whites, the Mark Henrys, the Chris Jerichos, the Jerry Lynn's, the people that are there, the Tully Blanchards,
so many people behind the scenes. Dean Malenko.
Yes.
I mean, I think you mentioned the vast majority of them, but I mean,
William Regal. Why are these guys on-screen personalities and not running the ship from the back? Why am I hearing reports that nobody wants to learn from some of these guys, that all these talents think they know what they're doing and they got it figured out? I'm sorry. From here on out, me personally, someone just brought up one more point, and then I'll end. Why are all of these older established talents that really shouldn't be the focal point of your company getting all the TV time? Why is Christian in a prominent storyline? It's not a diss at him. He still can put on a good match. But why is he getting the push? Why isn't, especially on a Swerve now, why isn't Jungle Boy getting a push? Why isn't Jungle Boy in this tournament? You want to talk about giving Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho a bye? Cool. You can have them in the tournament, have them go far. Why not put Jungle Boy up against one of them? Why not put Brian Cage up against one of them? Why not put Keith Lee or Swerve or any of these guys in a match against them? You got literally FTR doing singles matches for singles titles when they're a tag team all the time right now, but you can't use any of these other guys who aren't what you would call a single star right now. You know, why am I looking at a roster that's so poorly used and yet was bragging about how they were going to do it so much better? And I'm watching Tony Nese get buried on a Dynamite. And I'm watching Adam Cole lose every big match that he's ever been in that company. And I'm watching you constantly keep the tag belts away from teams that actually deserve it. And so now the only saving grace that they could do for me to tune back in is if they put the belt on Bryan Danielson. I don't see how you could restore value back to this company. I think the fact that you put the interim belt on Jon Moxley, had him lose it, to have him win it again, I don't think that makes sense. So he would be okay with me. Chris Jericho, I think, doesn't make sense. He's too old. I don't think Sammy Guevara is established enough. I don't think Darby Allin is established enough to carry the reins out of this funk. I think if you want people to support and to get behind this, you got to put it on someone who knows what he's doing. He knows how to lead, and that's Bryan Danielson. That is the saving grace for me. Why Claudio is not in this tournament, why there's other guys, I could just keep going down. It frustrates me to my core to see bad booking after bad booking after bad booking and people acting like AEW is still good and still on the map and on the mark. I'm sorry, y'all. AEW is going to have to really step it up to compete with what Triple H is now doing in WWE. They're really going to have to get their stuff together. But to bury Athena, there's just so many bad booking things from All Out alone that's were already selling me not to watch it. And then when I see all this junk, there's more coming out of a media scrum than there is out of your pay-per-view. There's an issue. And it's kind of akin back to the WCW days where you have the inmates running the asylum. And if Tony Khan doesn't step up and actually take leadership of his company and stop letting all these other guys run it because he's scared to lose them, or this is what happens when you give everybody their own creative direction. Adam Heyman Page should have never been allowed to go out there with a live mic in the first place and go into business for himself and to create this problem in the first place. That should have been shut down from the get-go. He ran that promo by other people. Don't tell me he went out there and shot that promo and the Young Bucks and Kenny didn't know about it. Come on now. They knew where that was going. This was all poorly handled by people who should be running the company. And I put a lot of ownership on Tony Khan. I put a lot of ownership on those EVPs because you're not just wrestlers. You're supposed to be helping run this company. And knowing that he was hot, literally in the scrum, he said, if you have an effing problem with me, come say it to my face, knowing it would cause problems. Why would you go right after he said that and try to knock on his door thinking that was going to be beneficial? Where's the wisdom? Where's the people stepping up saying, here's how we handle these situations. Here's how we do the right thing. And I put a lot of onus on CM Punk. You're the veteran. You're the legend. You're the one that's supposed to be creating business and things for this company. Step up and actually be a man and handle these situations with class and not like a spoiled little brat who thinks just because you can get people to cheer for you in Chicago. That cracked me up, how he talked about he's the biggest draw that they've had only in Chicago. That's why they keep booking things in Chicago, because they're hoping they get and sell out tickets time and time again for Punk. And it showed this past Sunday when they got more chance for Jon Moxley and MJF in Chicago, because it's not going to keep working. It does not matter to me one bit if he's from Chicago, if he can get people to cheer for him, he can sell tickets. People were behind AEW before he signed, and people will be behind it when he leaves, as long as they handle these situations correctly. So I told Alex I had to get all of this off my chest. I've been holding on to it since Sunday, Monday, when all this stuff came to light. But I've been feeling this way about AEW. I've been seeing the writing on the walls. With Cody Rhodes leaving, I thought that was a good sign that things were headed in the wrong direction. And now everything's kind of out in the open. The Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara stuff shouldn't have been handled the way it was. This is what happens when you allow everyone to just run their own ship and be in charge of themselves, and there's nobody running the show. There's no one in charge. There's no one who people have to command. No, there's no one commanding respect that people are inferior of, in a sense. People respect Triple H. He demands respect, and at the same time, he gives it when you earned it, when you show that you're worthy of that. And I think Chris Jericho could be that there in AEW, but they got to allow somebody to step up and actually be that and kind of be the one person that's kind of running the ship, and they don't have that right now. So,
guys, we got to wrap this up. Thanks for joining us tonight. Our first show back. We'll be back live next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We are shooting for having shorter shows, but if you stuck with us for the entire 2+ hours that we were on, we sincerely appreciate it. We don't even have time for final thoughts, but Cole, if you're going to give the people what they want because of how everything's set up now, you got to give it to them before we go to our credits.
That's right. Guys, as always, thank you for watching the greatest wrestling podcast ever. We will see you next Thursday at the same time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern time. You do not want to miss. You never know when we'll do a giveaway. But it's been a minute. I don't know if I still have it, but we're going to go for it. Guys, have a great night.
See you guys.